What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my FanDuel single-game breakdown for tonight's absolute gem between the Patriots and the Jets. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Follow me on Twitter, @Josh Engleman, so you can get updates to these sim results as we get closer to lock. Probably be somewhere in the 7 p.m. Eastern Time range. I will post my updates. Finally, let me know in the comment section, who do you like at MVP and at Flex? This is going to be a wild slate. Here's the high-level info for today. 91.3, that's the average fantasy points in the optimal lineup. Median salary used, $58,000. So you can leave a little bit of salary on the table, but not too much. 2.8 Patriots on average in the optimal, 2.2 Jets. The Pats are 9.5 point favorites, 41.5 point game total. This is ugly, guys. I'm not gonna lie. This is just ugly. There's not a lot of talent on either side of the ball. We've got some really weird numbers coming out of the sim. Let's just dive into it. So first up, we're starting at the MVPs, and we have not seen data look like this yet. This is the first time we're seeing a very clear, this guy's nowhere near the rest of the field. Cam Newton, $17,000 in the MVP spot. Buckle up. You guys ready? He shows up in the optimal lineup 62.4% of the time. Yes, you heard me correctly. 62% of the time, Cam Newton shows up in the optimal. I haven't projected 8.6 fantasy points ahead of Joe Flacco. He's on a completely different planet. The fact that he has rushing ability is massive. It's not as if he can't actually get there by himself. I don't know what else to do. I assume, we don't have ownership as of yet, I assume Cam Newton is getting jammed in clear across the board. He's clearly the best MVP option. It's not close. He shows up in the optimal 6 times as often as anybody else at this spot. Anybody, 62%. There's only 37.6% left for everybody else. So let's just say you don't want to go to Cam Newton today. Joe Flacco shows up in the optimal 11.5% of the time. He's 12.5, so you save $4,500. He's projected like he's a middling running back, but if you need to get off of someone like Cam Newton, Flacco, I think, is the second best option. Third best, oddly enough, Jamison Crowder at 14K shows up in the optimal, the MVP spot, 6% of the time. You're going to have a lot of duplication on FanDuel just because of that Cam Newton ownership. Have fun with that. Now, as we get to the flex spot, that's when things start to look a little bit more reasonable. Cam, not all that often in the flex because he's showing up as an optimal MVP. You get him 33% of the time in the flex. Cam Newton is in the optimal lineup like 95% of the time. You basically just have to worry about an injury. Otherwise, he's going to be there. The guys that you really want at the flex, the best options. Joe Flacco, 12.5. He is the #1 flex option. Shows up in the optimal 55% of the time. After that, Nick Folk looks really good at 8,500. Shows up just shy of 40% of the time. Got a couple more guys in the 30s. Jacoby Myers, James White, obviously Cam, as I mentioned before. Sam Ficken shows up 30% of the time. If you're looking for a direction to go there, I think those guys build out a nice structure. If you want to save some salary, Frank Gore at 7,500 shows up in the optimal 18% of the time. Brashad Perriman at 7K shows up in the optimal 23% of the time. I don't really want to go too far south of Perriman at 7K. Like Gunner is 6%, Ryan Izzo is 5%. You can get to those guys in maybe 1 out of a 20 max. You know, a couple shares of these guys in a 150, but I really do think that Brashad Perriman is the floor for tonight's slate on FanDuel. Now, I don't have public ownership as per usual on Mondays, so if we're talking about fades, we'll do our best to take the guess, but we'll know a little bit more once we get those updated sim results. I don't get the sense that I'm fading Cam with any sort of volume. I assume he's my MVP in 40% plus of my lineups. Damian Harris is 13.5, did not grade out very well. Not a direction I would be looking to go at MVP, but everything's pretty flat outside of Newton and Flacco. If we go to the flex side, I think that's where it opens up a bit. Once again, I think Damian Harris probably ends up a little over-owned. It's so much easier to save $1,000 and go to Joe Flacco. I think Rex Burkhead at 10K is kind of impossible to want to use. He shows up in the optimal 15% of the time. If his ownership is a little bit higher than that, it's just easier to go a little bit higher or a little bit lower. No interest at all in like someone like Denzel Mims at 8K. Just doesn't have a good enough projection. I would much rather just go to the kickers at that point in time, go a little bit lower. A 41.5 point game total does not project a ton of offense. The Jets being 9.5 point dogs does not project a ton of offense. I would rather just go to kickers in this spot. So keeping your eye on Ficken, keeping your eye on Folk. I don't think their ownership gets high enough, so they're the inverse of fades for me. They're the guys I want to probably go higher on because I don't think the public will get there enough. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. That is my FanDuel single game breakdown for tonight's Monday Night Football game between the Jets and the Patriots. One last call, hit the thumbs up button. It helps me out a ton to see that like number climb. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman, and let me know in the comments who are your favorite options at MVP and at Flex. I will be back with these videos again for Thursday Night Football, and if you're playing on DraftKings, there's a link around here somewhere. Click on it, watch the DK version of this video. Good luck tonight. I'll talk to you again later on.